Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. Friday, I live in Maine, and it's normally we have a ton of snow by now. It's January 19th or 20th or whatever. Yesterday went to bed, there was no snow on the ground. Today woke up and there was 8 inches or so of snow. So, yeah, I'm not a big snow guy. Today I have a couple of attic find stories, which are my favorites. And so bear with me here. There are 2 of them for the same item, but I also got my first TTM of the year, Michael Chang. This one took 10 months to get back. That's the longest I've ever waited for one. So I'm really excited to get that. Thank you to Mr. Chang, one of my childhood favorite tennis players. I was a huge tennis fan. So, attic finds. First of all, I call them attic finds. Not all of these are attic finds, so I actually would like to start a new series, Attic Find Friday. Can I do it every week? I don't know. But I'm going to start putting them out on Fridays, as many Fridays as I can. And I am venturing outside of my comfort zone of baseball cards and basketball cards and moving into other fun things that people have found in their attics that have really cool stories that have, in some cases, have changed lives. I know nothing about comic books, but I like stories. I like fun stories, and this one is a really cool story. Actually, both of these are. So the first one comes to us from 2010. It was a family. They remained anonymous through the story, but the story is told by ComicConnect.com owner. So this family had taken out a second mortgage on their home so they could start up a business back in 2008-9, back when the economy collapsed, and their business failed, and the bank was foreclosing on their home, and so they're packing up their home, go down into their basement, they're packing up, and they find 8 or 9 comic books in there. Most of the comic books were worth $30 to $50, but one of them was a June 1938 issue of Action Comics, #1, the very first issue of Action Comics. It's also the issue that introduced the world to Superman. So on the front of it, it has Superman lifting a car up. In it, it tells the story of Superman and how he came to Earth. I'm not a superhero guy, I'm not a comic book guy, but anybody can appreciate that the history of this comic book and understand that if you found that in your basement or in your attic, man, you would be pumped. This June 1938 issue sold for 10 cents back then. What is that, 85 years ago? 10 cents. Stick around, because I'm going to tell you how much they sold theirs for and how much others have sold for since then. It's pretty crazy. It's not Hannes Wagner or Mickey Mantle crazy, but it's a lot. This comic book also ushered in the age of the superhero. This was, I believe, the first superhero in existence, maybe? Let me know in comments. I don't know. I'm not an expert. This is not really a history of Superman video. It's more of the attic find, which I love. So when they found this in their basement, they Googled it. They found ComicConnect.com, as I mentioned, that they had brokered 2 sales that year, one of them for $1 million and one of them for $1.5 million, of this very comic book, Action Comics. When Comic Connect they validated it, and they heard that this family was losing their home, Comic Connect themselves called the bank and said, hang on, don't foreclose. They have this thing, and they had to obviously prove to the bank that it was going to get paid. And it worked. It saved their home. A comic book saved a family from getting foreclosed on. So they sent it off to CGC. It came back a VG 5.0. There were 100 of them known at that time, back in 2010. It sold for $436,000. Pretty good story. Imagine going down to your basement. You're about to lose your home, your family home that you've had for 60 years. It's been in the family for 60 years. And you find a little kid's book. It's not a kid's book, I know, but a comic book. And you can save your home, pay off your home, probably. Similarly, David Gonzalez, a few years later in Minnesota, bought a fixer-upper for $10,000. And he was a construction worker, and he just wanted to fix it up and flip it. And while tearing out insulation, he found a bunch of newspapers and comics behind there that were apparently acting as insulation. And he pulled them down, and his wife's aunt came and she was looking at them, and she said, well, this is really, really valuable. And he said, I know. And he grabbed it from her, ripping off part of the back of it. Not the best way to treat your valuables. So the grader said that because of that, the grade went from what would have been a 3 down to a 1.5. He sold it for $175,000. Pretty good. I mean, that was 17 times what he paid for the house. And he found it in there. So you buy a $10,000 house and you find something worth $175,000 in it. Pretty good. And then he had probably flipped the house too and made a tidy profit. Then I looked up the highest sale of this was this year, just a few months ago. Sorry, no, it's not 2022 anymore. It was in 2022, a few months ago. It was a CGC 6, sold for $3.4 million. Now, an 8.5 from CGC sold in 2021 for $3.25 million. So if a 6 sold for 3.4, but an 8.5 sold for a little less than that, what would that 8.5 go for now? Do we think the market is still that hot? Would it go for more than 3.5? I don't know. But pretty cool story. You know, when you're about to be foreclosed and you find a comic book, just awesome. Superman saved the day, right? If you're new here, I do nearly daily content, mostly sports cards, 90% sports cards. And then I delve into other collectibles and a lot of attic finds. I'm going to do attic finds like this one. If that interests you, click that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching and have a great weekend.